world drowning in noise, the loudest truths are always spoken in the shadows. Welcome back to the Mask Society.
Let's jump right into Dossier 089. We are about to look directly into the hidden gears of modern technology and power. Now, today's explainer isn't about a conventional war. It's not about a natural disaster or some massive physical explosion. Instead, we're doing a critical analysis of a silent, totally invisible shockwave that literally brought an entire nation to its knees.
Think of this as an analytical sanctuary for the curious, for those of us who look at the surface of things and just know instinctively that there's more going on. We aren't here to just parrot the headlines. We are here to strip away the bias, dismantle the narratives, and examine exactly how our hyper-connected world truly operates.
So here's the central mystery we're unpacking today. How exactly does a corporate superpower, a company with billions of dollars in revenue, get brought to its absolute knees by a totally invisible adversary? I mean, how does a nation's critical infrastructure just freeze without a single physical shot being fired? To wrap our heads around this nightmare, we're going to have to pull back the layers of a hidden digital ecosystem. We're looking at how a series of, honestly, incredibly basic digital oversights paved a direct path to a national crisis. Let's get right into Section 1, the invisible paralysis. May 7, 2021.
100 million. I want you to really picture that number. That is how many gallons of refined fuel the Colonial Pipeline pumps every single day. We're talking about a massive 5,500-mile subterranean steel artery that runs all the way from Houston, Texas, right up to Linden, New Jersey. This one single asset supplies a staggering 45% of the entire American East Coast's diesel, gasoline, and jet fuel. It is absolutely the lifeblood of the region's economy and transportation network.
And when that artery was severed, sheer, unadulterated chaos erupted in a matter of hours. Millions of everyday drivers were out on the streets panic buying fuel, hoarding gas in literally whatever containers they could find, even plastic grocery bags. Gas stations across Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida were completely drained bone dry. Retail petroleum prices instantly skyrocketed to a 7-year high. You even had major international airports frantically rerouting commercial flights because the aircraft literally didn't have the jet fuel to take off. Before the weekend was over, 17 states had to declare an official state of emergency. It was a multi-billion-dollar economic lockdown, and it happened without a single scratch on the pipeline machinery itself. Moving to Section 2, Structural Architecture, IT versus OT. To understand how a digital hack can literally freeze a physical country, we have to look at how modern industrial giants are built. Basically, every modern utility operates as a tale of two completely separate worlds. On one side, you have information technology, or IT. Think of this as the corporate brain. It handles the business admin, your emails, HR, customer databases, inventory, and crucially, the accounting and billing systems. But then on the other side, you have operational technology, or OT. This is the industrial muscle. OT consists of SCADA networks, heavy-duty industrial pumps, programmable logic controllers, and automated pressure switches that physically regulate the flow of highly volatile fuel underground. Now, in a properly secure environment, these two domains are completely isolated by an unreachable wall. This is called network segmentation, and it acts as a strict defensive boundary. The golden rule of this architecture is absolute containment. Basically, if Bob in accounting clicks a bad link in a phishing email on the IT side, the infection gets trapped right there. It is structurally barred from jumping that digital wall over into the OT environment where the physical machinery actually operates, right? An email phishing link should never, ever be able to trigger a pipeline explosion.
But, well, here is the fatal flaw. In the modern chase for data-driven corporate efficiency, executives wanted information to flow seamlessly between both halves of the business. They wanted real-time flow metrics from those physical pumps to automatically generate customer invoices on the administrative side. And because of that intense desire for seamless integration, digital windows and data pathways were engineered directly into that strict protective firewall. This convergence of IT and OT, it created the precise vulnerability that was about to be massively exploited. Section 3. Anatomy of the breach. Enter dark side.
When you picture hackers, you probably picture some chaotic, lone wolf internet anarchists in a basement.
But DarkSide was what we call a ransomware as a service, or RAS operation. They actually functioned as a highly organized dark mirror of a slick corporate software startup. I mean, we were talking about a criminal enterprise complete with a dedicated public relations wing, financial accountants, and, ironically, better customer support than most internet providers, a literal victim helpline. So these guys didn't need to engineer some highly complex, custom, nation-state cyber weapon to break into Colonial Pipeline. The most crucial takeaway here is how brilliantly, terrifyingly simple their entry actually was. Step 1, DarkSide just hopped onto the dark web and downloaded a database of leaked, historical corporate passwords from old, completely unrelated data breaches. Step 2, digging through that data, they found a working username and password for a forgotten legacy virtual private network, or VPN. This account was a relic of an old network configuration that was supposed to be totally dead, yet it was left active. It was basically like leaving the back door to a fortress wide open. And step 3, which is honestly the most staggering part, this account bypassed modern security entirely because it lacked multi-factor authentication. No text code sent to a phone, no authenticator app. Just a single old username and password standing between a criminal syndicate and the US energy grid. Let's track the timeline of this silent invasion. On April 29th, DarkSide entered via that legacy VPN. From May 1st to the 6th, they moved like literal ghosts through the IT systems, completely undetected. They quietly harvested information, used internal admin tools to escalate their privileges, and exfiltrated over 100 gigabytes of sensitive corporate data to use as blackmail later. Then, in the middle of the night on May 7th, they dropped the hammer. They deployed their ransomware payload. It instantly tore through the IT systems, scrambling files, locking down servers, and freezing office computers. So when the morning shift walked in, they were greeted by a massive, glaring ransom note flashing across their screens. Section 4, the $4.4 million ransom, pure panic. Just imagine the absolute immediate terror sweeping through that executive boardroom the moment this breach was discovered. But this raises a really critical question, one that gets to the very heart of modern infrastructure security. If the hackers were only on the corporate IT network and the physical pipeline controls on the OT side were supposedly untouched, why did the physical fuel pumps have to stop? Well, it's because the leadership team was suddenly staring into a catastrophic blind spot. The ransomware had frozen the business and billing systems, meaning they were operating entirely blind. But far more terrifying was that highly integrated network architecture we talked about earlier. They could not verify with absolute 100% certainty that the ransomware wouldn't migrate past those digital windows and right into the physical pumps and valves. If the malware bled into the operational technology side, the cybercriminals could theoretically gain remote control over high-pressure valves, potentially causing devastating structural explosions or massive environmental spills. Faced with that unpredictable, existential threat, the CEO hit the massive panic button and proactively, manually shut down the entire 5,500-mile system just to contain the digital infection. So the main artery of the East Coast stood completely frozen for 5 agonizing days. Desperate to get the country moving again, Colonial Pipeline quietly authorized the payment of the ransom in Bitcoin within hours of the initial shutdown. They paid out $4.4 million. Now, in a rare twist, the FBI would later track the hackers' digital wallets and, incredibly, managed to recover about $2.2 million of that money. But you want to know the final, agonizing irony of this whole extortion? When DarkSide actually delivered the decryption tool after receiving the Bitcoin, trusting a cybercriminal cartel software proved to be a massive mistake. The decryption software was so painfully, agonizingly slow that Colonial's IT teams ended up having to manually rebuild their systems from older backups anyway, just to speed up the recovery process. The ransom bought them almost nothing but lost time. Finally, Section 5, our weakest digital link, the aftermath. Eventually, the pumps roared back to life, and the immediate panic at the gas stations faded away. But the structural cracks exposed here, they changed the landscape of global security forever. The Colonial Pipeline incident proved a chilling, undeniable reality to every infrastructure operator on Earth. In a hyper-connected world, you don't need to drop a bomb to take out a target. You don't even have to hack the physical machinery. Simply freezing the administrative business systems behind a utility is more than enough to bring an entire nation to its knees. Our physical world, our power, our water, our transportation, our actual survival, is intimately tied to basic digital hygiene. It is literally only ever as strong as its weakest digital link. So what happens when the next forgotten password belongs to the water supply or the national power grid? It's a question we absolutely must all take away from this case study. Thank you for joining me in the Mask Society. Keep your eyes open and stay curious.
These are investigating a major cyber attack targeting America's energy infrastructure.
Begin with a brazen cyber attack that has shut down the biggest pipeline in the United States.
Welcome back to Squawk. The largest U.S. fuel pipeline is now the victim of a ransomware attack in Brian.
With the growing concern across this country after that massive cyber attack on this country's biggest fuel pipeline.
This is one of my worst nightmares come to life.